Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Jenny Wu and my channel's name is Jenny Wu Financeware. You might be wondering where I have been for like the past 5 months, and well, long story short is I had a lot of weird health scares that happened. Like almost went to ER like twice, had this mysterious illness that we still can't figure out what it is. But anyways, I'm gonna get into all those details today. So it's gonna be probably a long rambling video just about like where I've been and also like why I haven't been recording or uploading as much. I had a few of my friends reach out to me to kind of ask like where I've been and like what I've been up to and why I haven't been uploading. So I wanted to make this video not only for them but also for anybody else who is curious as to where I've been for the past few months. So go ahead and get settled in and let's go ahead and get started. So my last video was October 31st, so I had my Halloween vlog, and actually since then you'll see I have a try on haul that I uploaded, so you actually see this dress in that video. It's actually my thumbnail I chose because I love this dress. So it's actually my first time wearing this dress officially, but I guess I've technically only wore that dress in this room to film, so I mean, one day, you know, when the pandemic's over and it's not freezing outside, I can go outside and wear it. November, I would say the week before Thanksgiving, I started getting a fever. I got a really bad fever at work and I didn't know it was a fever. I thought I was just having a headache and I was just feeling like really sluggish. And I came home and it turns out I had a fever. So right now, if you have a fever, you're not allowed to go back into the office. So I had a fever and then I was scheduled to take a COVID test because fever, and then you needed to take a COVID test before you get back. So I ended up scheduling my COVID test. I think it was for Saturday. So it was Thursday I got the fever, so then I stayed home Friday. Friday I also had a fever, and then Saturday I also had a fever. My fever started on Thursday, I think. I'm not sure if it started earlier and I just like didn't notice, but it started on Thursday, and then that night I was feeling like really sick. It was like, I felt like these really itchy on my hands and feet, and like I said, this video might get a little bit graphic. I probably won't show any pictures just because the pictures are kind of, let's just say like I asked all my friends if they want to see pictures and they all said no, so I'm just gonna respect their wishes and just gonna be like, not scare everybody on the internet. But yeah, day one, Thursday, I had a fever and then I had itchy palms and the bottom of my feet. So I'm not sure if you ever had blisters on your hand, but think about like when you either wear uncomfortable shoes or when you do a lot of pull-ups and your hand starts like breaking out and there's like little pink painful bumps. So I had those on my hands and my feet, and it was like very small. Like think about like holding a really uncomfortable pen. So I had them all along my right hand because I'm right hand dominant. And I was like, oh, maybe I was just like writing weird or something. And then my feet were just like strangely itchy and like painful. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's weird. But you know, this happens every now and again. Maybe it was just something I was like wearing. So then the next day, my hands and feet, it was actually a rash that was starting. So it actually grew. So it went from like my palms of my hands to like the back of my hands. And then it went like pretty much all around my feet. So then now I had this like rash on my hands and my feet. And I was like, oh, okay, this is like getting weird. And then just throughout that day, it started spreading, started going to my arms and my legs. And then eventually, by the time it was Saturday, so 3 days after I had my first fever that I knew about, I had this rash all over my body. It was like pretty intense. I would say at this point it looked like a case of chickenpox. It kind of just looked like sores or blisters all over my body. It was like super itchy, and I was trying to try like all these home solutions like calamine lotion, which absolutely did nothing for me. Like it did nothing. And then I took an oatmeal bath, which it was nice, but I don't think I should have taken a bath because it made it spread like all over my body. So instead of just my hands and legs, it like went to like my stomach, my chest, and my back. So it kind of just like spread whatever was happening. And then I tried, so I'm Chinese. My family gave me like all these Chinese like herbs and medicines to take. So they wanted me to like essentially steam this like bag of cicada skins and Chinese herbs. You're supposed to steam it over your rash, which I don't really know how I was supposed to do that with a full body rash. But I did my best, and then you're supposed to take a towel and then pretty much like wipe that liquid all over you and not rinse it off. So this was supposed to help the rash and make it so that your infection goes away, but it didn't. In fact, it made it worse, and it came back and it was angrier. So my rash at this point, so Saturday I went into UMC, and I told her about the fevers because I was still having a fever. It was mostly fever, fatigue, and also like this full body rash. I also was having really bad migraine and headaches, just like nonstop head throbbing. And then I also had acute gingivitis, which is like, you know, when your gums are like bleeding. You're like, my mouth was like bleeding. It was like sore, and I had like these really bad night chills. Like my fever would be like 103 or so, and then like if you took my fever on my stomach area, it was like 106 degrees because it was like hotter there. But I would be like shaking so bad and think I was like literally freezing. I had like the worst chills, and I was just like chattering in my teeth so much that I would have like constant toothaches. So by day 4 or 5, I think, I was no longer able to chew food because my teeth were so sore from shaking every night and not being able to sleep because I was so cold. And yeah, so basically day 5, 6-ish, I was like on an all liquid diet. It was pretty much just eating chicken broth and like warm soups sort of deals. Like my boyfriend went and bought me like $90 worth of soups because he was like really worried about me. It's just like it really hurt to chew. Like my freaking it was so awful. I actually just thinking about it, I'm in like pain. But basically on Saturday, she wasn't sure what it was. She thought maybe hand, foot, mouth disease because I had sores all over my hands, feet, and mouth. But because I had sores all over my body, it didn't make any sense. And then she also thought it might have been chicken pox, but then I wouldn't explain like the fever and acute gingivitis and all these other things. So it was just like, oh, she wasn't sure. And then of course everybody thought it was COVID because there's this thing called the COVID rash apparently. And it kind of like, I saw like pictures of it and it looked very similar to what I had. So I took a COVID test on Saturday. I think the next day it came back and I was negative. So then on Monday, I still had a fever. And so I told my director that I couldn't go back to work. I was going to see another doctor. So I had I called my doctor's office, like I think they were closed. So it may have been Sunday actually. Talked to like the on-call, like emergency doctor sort of thing. And we had a telehealth visit, so like a virtual visit. And also they couldn't let me inside because I had a fever. So I basically told her my symptoms with like the fever, the acute gingivitis, the rash, the not being able to chew anything, the really bad sores, migraines, chills, and just like all this like, just my body was just, it was really bad. Like to put it in perspective, like my boyfriend was a medic in the army and he was like overseas working with like third world country in Iraq, you know? And like, he said he's never seen anything as bad as what I had, and he like thought I was dying. So he would like go outside and like cry, and I would feel so bad because like I didn't know if I was gonna make it. Like I was like, I don't know if I'm okay. Like no one could diagnose me. Like I really thought it was COVID. Other people thought it was COVID, and I had like, you know, the sore throat, the fever, shortness of breath, and like very similar COVID symptoms. But I tested negative, so the Sunday doctor told. Sorry, let me rewind a little bit. So Saturday I went to the UMC Quick Care and they gave me meds for antibiotics and also an antiviral because they didn't know if it was a bacterial infection or a viral infection. So they kind of gave me both to kind of cover my bases. So I took those meds for a few days. I think I took it for 2 days. And I went back to, you know, my primary doctor, talked to the emergency doctor, and then she said that I need to stop taking those meds immediately because they're making me worse, because it really was starting to make it worse. I realized that it was not helping me with any of my rash. My rash was still getting worse. Fever was still not budging. And the fever, it would happen like 24/7. Like I would not be able to break from my fever at all. I had a fever for over 6 days straight, maybe 7 days straight, and it was pretty bad. I couldn't even like walk to the bathroom without my head just like being freaking super hot. And the only reason why I didn't have to go to the ER is because my boyfriend has this head cooler that he got from the VA. And it's basically like water coolant. It just goes through and like keeps your head cool. And I had to wear that thing for like a week straight. And that's the only way I could keep my head cool enough so that I didn't like overheat from like this fever and have to go to ER, because I was like very dehydrated and just like facing like all sorts of nastiness from this awful illness. So Sunday, I talked to the emergency doctor, and then she said, okay, you need to go take another COVID test because I'm pretty sure you have COVID. And then I need you to stop taking those meds. And then she prescribed me some itch medicine, like a cream, and also like a pill. I picked up those prescriptions, and I stopped taking the antiviral and the antibacterial. And then she said the only thing to do to help with my fever is to take Tylenol. So she recommended Tylenol extra strength, which is just over the counter. So I took that, and from then I just kept on taking Tylenol instead of any other medication just to help with the fever. And if you're curious, I can't take NSAIDs, so like other fever reducers, so it had to be like Tylenol just because of my restrictions. So then I was taking Tylenol. So then this is like Monday. So I got sick on Thursday, and now it's Monday. And then my director kept on wanting me to come into work, and he was like, oh, okay, well, we'll just call you if we need anything. So then luckily he gave me Tuesday off. So now I've been sick for 5 days now. Still have the fever. So I took a second COVID test on Monday. Got the results on Tuesday, and they came back negative again. And then I scheduled another appointment with my doctor, my primary doctor, not like the emergency on-call doctor, and kind of met with him, and then he didn't know what it was either. He said that I needed to stay quarantined, and basically that I need to take, I think it was like, he wrote me a note for over 2 weeks off because he didn't want me to infect anybody else because we didn't know what was happening to me. And that was good because my director was wanting me to go into work. So I got the doctor's note, and this is important, and I swear this is going to make sense in a minute. So I got the doctor's note to not go into work for 2 weeks, right? So I give that to my director, and then I think everything is fine, right? So I even scheduled myself a third COVID test because he thought it was COVID too. And then I took the third COVID test, and lo and behold, it was negative again. So whatever it was, apparently it was not COVID, or I had some new strain that wasn't detected, or just something was just not, I don't know what it is still to this day. It was like a very weird illness. So I got the doctor's notes for 2 weeks, but I ended up being sick for around 3 weeks to a month. So I got sick around the week before Thanksgiving, and then probably a week before Christmas I got like better-ish. I still wasn't back at work. Yeah, I think I didn't return back to work until late December. But the problem is I'm actually new to the company I work with. I started in February of last year, so right before the pandemic happens. I worked for 3 weeks and made enough of an impression that they decided to keep me on board, so I was super thankful. And because I started in February and I got sick in November, I hadn't been with them for a year yet, so I didn't qualify for FMLA. So because my doctors wrote me a note for 2 weeks off, my director said it was like too much time off and that he wanted to essentially put me on a leave of absence. So I was going back and forth with HR and this whole thing of like, they were just calling me nonstop, seeing what the doctors were saying, and like if I was going back to work, if I need to go on a leave. And I told them I didn't need to go on a leave, I can just work from home. And then they said, okay, that's fine. As long as you're working from home, we don't have to put you on a leave or anything. And I was like, okay, fine. So I got the doctor's note for 2 weeks, but I went back to work after 1 week and I was working from home. Pretty sure at this point my director knew I was working from home, but I don't know if it was like he didn't like believe me or whatever was the case. But basically, he escalated it to the director of HR and brought it up to her and made me send a long email about like all my symptoms and my current symptoms, all my negative COVID tests, and what my doctor's notes are saying, and basically attach everything to HR and ask him to advise on the situation, because he said that he didn't want to make any calls, like he didn't want to be the one to like just be like, oh yeah, you're fine taking 3 weeks off or whatever for being sick, even though I technically wasn't off. I was like working the whole time, and it was like this whole thing. So I told him, I was like, I talked to HR and they said as long as I'm working from home it's fine. And he's like, no, I need you to get this on paper, blah blah. I don't know how to handle the situation, I'm not gonna make any calls, I need you to deal with it. And I was like, okay. So me with my like super sick mind still, just like really dizzy, lightheaded, and like still have residual migraines, So I had to reach out to HR, and it was like very stressful. And then they basically said, like almost word for word, like as long as your director approves you being off and working from home, then you're fine. If it changes, let them know otherwise. But it didn't change, so it was just really weird. Actually, 3 weeks into my illness, he really wanted me back at work. Just even though I was working from home, he just really wanted me in the office for whatever reason. So I did go in the office, and people were terrified of me. I mean, they were like legitimately scared. I mean, I wore a long sleeve so you couldn't see the rash, but they knew that I wasn't feeling well because I had a fever and rash and all this stuff. And the only reason why my doctor wanted me back is because I tested negative for COVID, which I don't know if he thinks that COVID's like the only illness that's out there. So it's like, oh, if you don't have COVID, you must be good to go to work. But I was like really sick with something else apparently. And could just maybe be like a flu or something, but I don't know. It was a lot of things, and it lasted very long. And that full body rash was something else. Actually, the second doctor I talked to said that my rash was due to fever blisters. So it was my fever that was causing my full body rash. And then another thing that I thought may have caused it was I had tested for low white blood cell count in August. So basically white blood cells are the cells that fight off infection. And if you have low white blood cells, you have a weakened immune system, so you're more susceptible to illness. So I thought that was probably another reason, or I thought maybe it was something autoimmune, where my body was like attacking itself or not knowing how to deal with a virus. So I was just kind of like going in overdrive and trying to do everything I can to like try to fight off this virus or bacterial infection or whatever it was. But regardless of the case, I went back to work for one day. Everybody was freaked out. No one wanted to talk to me. I pretty much ate lunch by myself. It was like extremely depressing and like very uncomfortable. Like I made everybody uncomfortable, and it made me uncomfortable because I didn't want to be there. And the only person who wanted me there was the director, and for God knows what reason. But basically, the manager the next day was like, okay, you need to not come into work because this is just awful. You're still really sick, and everybody's scared of you. And you're not getting treated well, and you can't train, you can't do anything if people aren't going to talk to you. And I was like, okay, yeah. So then he made me go back to work. He said, don't come back to work until you're 100%. You can work from home, it's fine. So I was working from home, and everything was fine. And then eventually went back to work, I think like in a month from November, so like late December. And then I've been back at work ever since. But what happened after that weird illness thing? Well, first of all, I had extremely low energy. Like getting out of bed and walking to the couch was like, it was really hard. Like walking to the bathroom, like everyday task was just like, I didn't know things could be so hard. I was sleeping for like 16 plus hours a day and still exhausted, and I was just like, it was like really rough. Like keeping my head up to even sit up still was like really, really tough. So once the worst kind of passed, and then I started feeling like slightly better, I started getting more migraines, and just like probably I would say in January. So this is in December. So January, February-ish. So like last month / January, I started getting like these cluster migraines. Oh, this is so stressful to talk about. Okay, let me take a breather. Man, I haven't like really dished out my health issues in a while, so it's kind of been a minute. But so I started getting these cluster migraines. So it started one day where I was driving to work, and I was on the phone with my boyfriend, just like the car phone. And then I turned onto the freeway, and then the light from the sun just hit my eyes, just like, I don't know, at a perfect angle or something. And then I started having these intense, sharp pains, like right at my right temple. And it was like so sharp, like I couldn't see, like everything went white. And I was like, oh my God, I can't see. And then I was like, okay, I'm like close to my work. I was like debating on pulling over and just kind of like playing it safe, but it kind of hurt for like maybe like 10 throbs, and then it will stop, and it will happen again in a few minutes. So I ended up making it work safe, and I was like, okay, it was probably just like the sun hit my eyes in a weird way, and I was like just having a weird reaction from that. But then I went into the office and then I was just working. I work on the computer, so I work with a lot of spreadsheets, but I couldn't see the numbers because it was like really, like I was having those pangs again. And it was like intense like migraine. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? So I ended up getting sent home from work. I think my boyfriend picked me up that day because I couldn't drive. And then I had to call my doctor again and kind of tell him that I've been having like these migraines. And it was basically like a follow-up for the rash and everything, because like when I worked out in like January/February, I would like, my rash would flare up. Like my rash was gone for the most part, but it would flare up if I worked out. So I didn't know what was like happening with that. So he said it's probably just my body. It's just like remembering what I went through. Luckily right now I look like normal. I'm not like all red and rashy all over. It's one of the main reasons why I didn't film for so long, because I was kind of like, man, I am gonna look like some really scary patient thing. But yeah. Like we literally took a side picture of the rash and it literally looked like a mountain from like how many like layers of like just, it was just like blistered on top of itself. It was really gross. But yeah, so I had to follow up with my doctor. I told him that I've been having migraines since like August, but it got worse in November. And then in January, I started getting cluster migraines where they just like would not stop for several days. Actually, the last one was like 3 weeks straight. And it was like, luckily I was working from home at the time, so I didn't have to go into the office, but it was still hard working from home. It was like, I wasn't responding to like migraine meds because I was taking sumatriptan. So basically my dosage for the sumatriptan was 25 milligrams, but I was normally taking like 50 milligrams or more because it wasn't helping. And then I ended up just like not responding to the medication, and then my migraines, usually they went away like after I took a nap or when I woke up in the morning, but they were just not going away for anything. Wait, I used to only get migraines like at night, like 5 or 6 after work. If I like strained my mind too much and I was like stressed out, I would get a migraine. But it usually wouldn't hit me till the evening. But these cluster migraines, they started as soon as I woke up, and like I would just wake up and my head would be pounding, and that's just kind of like, even right now my head's starting to hurt just thinking about all the migraines I've been having. It's probably just sympathetic pain. But yeah, it was really bad. So I was like really high sensitivity to light, sound, thinking was incredibly painful. And then the worst part lately was like the nausea. Like I was like, everything just was so, I was so nauseous. I felt like I had constant motion sickness, and like I was gonna vomit all the time, and I felt like I was on a ride. Like, I don't know if you've ever been on that gravity ride where it spins you and you kind of go up and down on those little bed things. I felt like I was on that thing like all the time. I was like constantly nauseous and like gagging just from like wanting to throw up, and then it was really bad. So my doctor gave me some new meds to try for the migraine, which I think have been helping. I've only had 2 migraines since I started on the new meds. And then on Friday, I had to take an MRI because I wasn't responding to the first medication. So I should be getting my MRI results next week. So it was my first time taking an MRI. It was like super scary. Like I'm not claustrophobic at all, but it was like, it's pretty scary in there. It's so loud. And you know, I like watch a lot of medical dramas, so I was like, oh yeah, they always talk to the people in MRIs and it's fine. But no, it's like long and very scary, and I did not enjoy it whatsoever. And apparently they had to give me a shot, and they can like never find my veins because they're so tiny. So now I have like 3 stab wounds again. I also had to like take 3 blood tests. So the first blood test showed that I had low white blood cell count, and then the second blood test said my white blood cell count was normal, but then my red blood cells the count was low. And then I took a hemoglobin test, and then it came back normal. I tested negative for anemia, which they thought I may have had. And I also took like a blood test to find out my blood type, so that was fun. But yeah, just tons of tests. I feel like a lab rat. We haven't really found out what's happening yet, but that's kind of where I've been pretty much from November to like now, March. So November through February, I've been pretty much like sick with like various mysterious illnesses. But I'm hoping I can just come back and just kind of go into the mood and like upload every Wednesday because I put it on my calendar, so that's good. But yeah, if you're just kind of curious where I've been or just kind of want to know what I've been up to, my last update video apparently is my most popular video, so I figured you guys might want to see what's up with me, just kind of hear me ramble about my mysterious health issues. Yeah, but let me know if you've ever heard anything of like similar to what I have with like the fever and the testing negative for COVID, the chills, the acute gingivitis, the sores, the rash, migraines. And yeah, just let me know if you've ever heard of anything like that, because we were like really trying to figure out. I think the closest thing we thought it could be was like German measles, but that usually only lasts 3 days. So yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe someone else on the internet might know what I had because 3 doctors had no freaking idea. And they were like, COVID? And I was like, I don't know. I keep on getting negative. So yeah. So now it's March, and well, actually no, it's not March. It will be March by the time this video goes up. It will be March, but yeah, I mean, hopefully, I'm planning to upload 5 videos. I have a lot of great content plans. So if you're still here and you're just curious of where I was, I have not forgotten about you. That's for sure. And I think about YouTube all the time. I wish I could have been there, but with how much pain I was in and like just migraines and everything, it was really not possible to sit with like this light on me and also like make coherent thoughts. Actually, this is my first time talking so much. I kind of like have a sore in the back of my mouth right now, which is like painful to talk, but hopefully it doesn't make me sound that weird. But thanks so much for sitting through this video. Let me know what you would like to see from me. I would love to hear from you because I want to make content that you want to see, and also I want to be inspired. I hope you guys are doing a lot better than I am, and I hope that we have a nice, healthy 2021. Alright, I know it's like a quarter in, but it feels like I should still say it because I feel like I'm still living in the past. I mean, I miss like so many major holidays. So it's been really depressing for me. I miss my favorite holiday, which is Thanksgiving. Oh, so sad. Okay, well, I hope you guys take care. Stay healthy out there. It's very dangerous. I'm currently working from home still, so everything's good on my end. I have to go in the office like just for 1 day next week, but hopefully it won't be regular. But yeah, alright, talk to you guys later. Bye.